So good. Oh, what a groove. Down, breathe water in, unafraid. Doom doom, shakum doom, bang, dakum shakum doom, the rescue. Oh, so good. What's going on, everybody? Nick DiVirgilio here. Welcome back to Groovy Thursdays. We are at groove number 11, and this one is a really special groove to me because it has a lot of meaning. The song that it comes from has a lot of meaning. The record it comes from has a lot of meaning to me. This groove number 11 in Groovy Thursdays, comes from the song Long Day's Life, which was written by Kevin Gilbert and comes from the record The Shaming of the True. Now, if you don't know who Kevin Gilbert is, definitely Google his name, check out his music. He passed away at a very young age, way back in the mid-90s. And I attribute my break in the music business because of Kevin. From meeting him, that's how I got my gigs with Tears for Fears and Genesis, all stemmed from meeting Kevin and playing with him, getting the gig in his band. And, you know, it all stemmed from there. He was a great friend to me, and it's a musical genius in my mind and to a lot of people's minds, because he really was an amazing musician and songwriter, singer. He could play anything, all of those kinds of things. This particular tune came from his rock opera, The Shaming of the True. Now, when Kevin passed, the record wasn't completely finished, so myself and a recording engineer and mastering engineer named John Cuniberti, who's worked with tons of amazing artists, Joe Satriani and tons of others, we worked together and finished this record. Now, this particular groove comes from this song, and it's about 3 minutes and 57 seconds into the song, okay? So it's something I just wanted to take out of this particular tune and highlight because it's really fun to play. It does this sort of thing where you feel like you're, rubbing your belly and patting your head or however that thing goes, but it's really not as difficult as it sounds. It all flows together in a beautiful way. And I want to give a shout out to the person who played this groove first. I didn't invent this groove. I don't know where he got it from. Maybe it came from his own mind, but there's an amazing drummer out in the world named Toss Panos. Now, Toss has played with countless amazing artists, Robin Ford and all kinds of other people. And Toss played in Kevin's band before I joined. And he's an amazing player. Just so groovy and fat backbeat and chops for days. He's killer. I mean, really excellent. And he made this groove up first. When we redid the record, when we were making the record, The Shaming of the True, we redid some things for the sake of the mix and all kinds of stuff. And I had to learn to play this groove. So I thank Toss big time for coming up with this amazing drum part. Let's get into it. Groove number 11, Long Day's Life from Kevin Gilbert. Here we go. Now, this groove is in 6, okay? And it repeats. Once it gets into it, it just keeps repeating until the end of this particular phrase in the middle of the song. Now, before this groove starts, it's in 4/4 time, okay? And then it switches to 6/4. At least this is how I'm counting it. You could keep the 4 count underneath this groove if you want, but it really sort of turns the beat around. I think counting this in 6 is way easier. Now, let me show you what I mean. I went back in the song, the actual recorded song, and just before this phrase starts, I'll show you how the 4 feels, and then when it changes to the 6, you can see what I mean and hear it too. So let's check it out. Here we go. This is just before the phrase starts. 2, 3. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. Here, 4. Here it comes. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now the groove. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. See what I'm saying? So it switches pretty cleanly from 4 to 6. If you wanted to make it even crazier, you could keep the 4. Let's just check that out real quick. We go back a little bit here. All right, here's the 4. 1, 2. Now if I kept it in 4, check it out. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So if you keep it in 4, then beats 2 and 4 feel like they're on the upbeat of what you're playing, right? Because there's this pulse in there, which is in 6. And if you're counting the 4 against it, that's where this comes along And I don't think that's necessarily, you don't need to do that. It just makes it harder. You know what I mean? So just switch to 6/4 and you're good to go. All that being said, now let's get into the groove. On the transcription, the groove is just 2 bars long repeated, okay? That's how I wrote it here. I did put a single bar before the repeat starts of just the ride cymbal doing 6 quarter notes to kind of get you going, because I feel it's like it is on the record. It's way easier to get that pulse of 6 started with your ride cymbal hand, okay? And then get the groove starting from there. It just kind of flows into it and makes it a lot easier. Your ride cymbal hand is going to be playing the pulse, right? All 6 quarter notes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and so on. Your snare hand, whatever you use for your snare hand, is going to be playing a side stick, and that happens on beats 1 and beats 4 of every bar. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Pretty simple there. You know, start with that first so you can get this feeling in your hands. Now the kick drum pattern is not that hard. It repeats the same in each bar, okay? It happens on the 1 and then on 2. It also happens on 5 and on beat 6. So if here's your pulse, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, the kick drum sounds like this. 1 and 2 and 6 and 2 and 6 and 2 and 6 and so on, okay? Ba-boom, 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 ba-boom. Now the magic of this groove, what makes it really special, is what's happening in your hi-hat foot. Whatever foot you use, if you're left-handed player, your right foot, your right-handed player, your left foot, this is what makes the groove very special, because it's all in the feathering of the hi-hat, the splash sound and the chick sound. So it's the opening and the closing that gives you beats that are part of this groove. That's what makes it so cool. So rewind back and check out the video. You can see that with my left foot, you do this push down of the hi-hat pedal that splashes the 2 cymbals together to give that open sound, okay? But then you press down to close. So you go chick, 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 chick. It's a very cool thing to learn how to do if you're new to it. The key to this whole thing is to do that opening and closing of the hi-hats in time with the groove, of course. If you're used to playing grooves where you keep time with your left foot, you close it on the 2 and 4 or on all the quarter notes, at least you're used to having your foot in motion while you're playing a groove with your other 3 limbs. Now this is just something else, a way to lift it up to the next level. Because feathering the hi-hat, opening and closing the hi-hat, is a really cool sound effect too for all kinds of grooves. Now with that in mind, the opening and closing of the hi-hat sound, what makes this groove so cool is where it happens in this groove. And also, the opening and closing is exactly 1 beat long every time. So there's a rhythm to it. They all happen on upbeats, all of the in-between beats, which gives the whole thing a different feel. The first one happens on 2 and, then it happens on 4 and, then it happens on 6 and. So it's on the ands of every even beat. 1, 2, and 3, 4, and 5, 6, and 1, 2, and 3, 4, and 5, 6, and. See what I'm saying? They're happening on the in-between beats. And the closing of the hi-hat, since the whole thing is 1 beat long each time, closes on an in-between beat. So as it opens on 2 and, it closes on 3 and. And what this all does is make the hi-hat part, the opening and closing part, sound like it's in a different time. It sounds like it's 4 in the middle of the 6. That's the magic here. So you have multiple rhythms going on, multiple feels going on, but when you play it, once you get this in your hands and your feet, boy, it just has a rolling motion to it that is really very comfortable. One thing that should make it easier is to really check out this transcription. Even if you don't read drum music that well, you could see where everything's happening here. The opening and closing of the hi-hat are at the bottom of the staff, okay? Those notes that are at the very bottom are the hi-hat foot. And you could tell that the hi-hat foot opens after every second kick drum. There's also one in between there too, but at least you could see where that's happening. You can also see where the closings happen. Sometimes they're by themselves, the closing of the hi-hat. Sometimes it closes with a kick drum at the same time. So to visualize where these things are lying and playing at the same time or not can really be of great benefit when you're playing a groove that sort of has polyrhythms in it like this one. And there you go, groove number 11 in our Groovy Thursdays hang. The song is Long Day's Life from this record right here. The Shaming of the True from Kevin Gilbert, a fantastic record. They just released it on vinyl. Triple gatefold, sounds amazing, mastered for vinyl. It's a really cool record. Highly encourage you to check that out. I also encourage you to try filming yourself playing this groove, post it up. Let's see what you do with it. I want to see if you could play this groove. I know you can do it. Keep sending me more suggestions. I love the suggestions. Like, comment, subscribe, all of those things. Share this video with all your friends. I would appreciate that as well. And join me next week for groove number 12. It's going to be another fun one. We'll see you next week, everybody. Cheers.